You sit down to eat and there they are, eyes locked on you, unblinking, patient. Most people call it begging. Most people are wrong. In the wild, eating is the most dangerous moment for a pack animal because it leaves them completely exposed to predators. When your dog locks eyes with you during mealtime, they are actually tapping into an ancient survival instinct that runs millions of years deep. They are not scanning your plate. They are scanning your body language for a safety signal. And once you understand what they are really asking, everything about that stare changes. Here is something worth sitting with for a second. You have probably eaten thousands of meals with your dog in the room, and almost every single time you have interpreted that stare the same way. Begging, manipulation. A dog who wants what you have and is shameless enough to just stare at you until they get it. And look, that interpretation makes sense on the surface. Your dog is watching you eat. You have food. They want food. Simple equation, right? But what if that equation is missing the most important variable? What if that stare has almost nothing to do with your food and almost everything to do with you? Today, we are going to dig into one of the most universally misread behaviors in dog ownership. We are going to look at it through the lens of ancestral biology, of deep evolutionary wiring, and of what dogs actually need from their humans during the most vulnerable moment of any social animal's day. By the end of this, you are going to see that stare completely differently. And more than that, you are going to understand something about your relationship with your dog that most owners never figure out. Because when you stop seeing this behavior as a problem to fix and start seeing it as a message to understand, you become a different kind of dog owner, a better one. Let us get into it. Let us start at the beginning. And I mean the real beginning. Long before dogs were dogs, they were wild canids moving through landscapes that were nothing like your living room. They hunted in groups. They slept in groups. They moved through the world with a constant, low-level awareness of threat. And embedded in that awareness was a very specific vulnerability, one that every predator-prey relationship in nature has had to solve. When you eat, you cannot run. Think about that for a moment. When a wild canid lowers its head to consume a meal, its field of vision narrows. Its focus is drawn inward. It is, for that window of time, easier to sneak up on. Every wild animal that has ever lived in a social group has had to navigate that problem. And the solution that evolution landed on is elegant in its simplicity. You do not eat alone. And while you eat, someone watches. That role, the one where another member of the group keeps their eyes up and their senses dialed in while others are vulnerable, that is called sentinel behavior. It exists across dozens of species. Meerkats do it, primates do it, birds do it, and the ancestors of your dog did it too. So when your dog sits across from you at the dinner table and stares at you with that deep, unblinking focus, understand what you are actually looking at. You are looking at a sentinel, not a beggar, a guardian. And here is where it gets genuinely fascinating. The sentinel connection. Let us reframe this completely, because I think most people have this backwards. When your dog stares at you while you eat, the instinct driving that behavior is not "give me some of what you have." The instinct is much older than that. It is "I see you. I am here. You are safe to eat." In ancestral canid groups, eating happened in a context of shared vulnerability. The individuals who were consuming food were, temporarily, the most exposed members of the group. And the ones who were not eating would often position themselves in ways that created a kind of perimeter of awareness. They were not doing this out of altruism exactly. It was wired in. It was a survival strategy that benefited the whole group, including themselves, because a group that gets ambushed while eating is a group that loses members. Your dog still carries that wiring. It has not been erased by thousands of years of domestication. The context has changed dramatically, obviously. Your kitchen is not a savanna. The biggest threat is probably a UPS driver. But the neural architecture that generates this behavior, that drive to watch, to monitor, to orient toward the group member who is most exposed, that is still running underneath the surface. And here is the part that most owners completely miss. Your dog is not just watching your food. Your dog is watching your face, your posture, your breathing, the quality of your attention. They are reading your body for information about the environment. Dogs are extraordinarily sensitive to human emotional states, far more than we give them credit for. And during a moment when they have been wired to expect vulnerability, they are locked onto the one signal that tells them whether or not the environment is actually safe. Your relaxed posture, your calm eating, your lack of alarm. Every bite you take without freezing or looking up in panic is data. It tells them, at a biological level, that the coast is clear, that the group is safe, that the meal can continue. That stare is a request for a lookout, not a demand for extra treats. Read it that way and the whole thing shifts. The peripheral vision piece. Now let us talk about how dogs actually do this, because there is something specific happening in their vision that most people do not know. Dogs have a wider field of vision than humans. Depending on the shape of their skull and the placement of their eyes, many dogs can see somewhere between 240 and 270 degrees without moving their head. Humans sit around 180 degrees. That difference is not accidental. It is a predator and sentinel adaptation. Wide peripheral vision is extremely useful when your job is to keep track of what is happening around you. Here is the interesting part. When your dog appears to be staring directly at you, they are often not just seeing you. They are using you as a kind of visual anchor point while their peripheral vision sweeps the room. You are in their center field, yes, but they are simultaneously monitoring the doorway, the window, the hallway, the spaces around you that you are not paying attention to because you are eating. They have locked onto your position for environmental stability. You are the fixed point in their sensory map, and from that fixed point, they can track everything else. This is a remarkably sophisticated behavior when you break it down. They are doing two things at once: monitoring you for emotional state signals and monitoring the broader environment for actual threats. You are both the object of their attention and the instrument through which they organize their understanding of the space. So when you shift in your chair, they adjust. When you look up suddenly, they snap to attention. When you stay relaxed and focused on your meal, they settle. You are not just in their line of sight. You are functioning as a kind of emotional compass. That is not begging behavior. That is co-regulation. And it is one of the more remarkable things that happened when dogs and humans started living together tens of thousands of years ago. Your presence as a biological shield. Let us go one layer deeper, because this is where it gets really meaningful. We have talked about what your dog is doing during that stare. Now let us talk about what your presence is actually doing to your dog's nervous system. Dogs are physiologically affected by human proximity and emotional state. This is not a soft, feel-good claim. There is real biology underneath it. When a dog is in the presence of a calm, trusted human, their cortisol levels, which is the primary stress hormone, can measurably decrease. Their heart rate settles. Their muscle tension drops. The state of low-level vigilance that runs constantly in a social animal's background starts to dial back. Your calm presence acts as a biological signal that the environment is not dangerous. It is a form of what researchers sometimes call social buffering. The idea is that the presence of a trusted companion actually changes how an animal's nervous system responds to potential stress, not just emotionally, physiologically. And during mealtime, during a moment that the ancestral wiring marks as a vulnerability window, that buffering effect is at its most potent. When your dog stares at you while you eat and you remain calm, unhurried, unbothered, you are not just being relaxed. You are actively communicating to their nervous system that they can relax too. Your stillness is a message. Your ease is permission. You are, without saying a word or doing anything deliberate, acting as a biological shield between your dog's ancient anxiety and the present moment. That is a profound thing to carry into your next meal. Because here is what happens when you understand this. You stop feeling annoyed by the stare. You stop feeling guilty about not sharing your food. You stop trying to shoo them away or correct a behavior that does not need correcting. Instead, you might just let them do what they are wired to do, and in doing so, you give them something they genuinely need: safety, connection, the quiet confirmation that the group is okay. What this means for the food piece now, to be fair, let us acknowledge something, because some people are going to be thinking it. Yes, some dogs have learned that staring during mealtime produces results. They stared, someone caved, they got a piece of whatever was on the plate, and now they have a very clear association. Staring equals possible food. That is real, and it is worth distinguishing from the ancestral behavior we have been talking about. But here is the key difference. A dog who has been reinforced to beg will typically escalate. They will whine. They will paw at you. They will follow you. They will get closer and more insistent as the meal goes on. The behavior has a quality of mounting pressure to it. A dog expressing sentinel behavior will often settle once they have read your signals. Once they have confirmed through your body language that the environment is safe, the urgency softens. They might lie down nearby. They might look away periodically and then look back. They are monitoring, not demanding. That distinction matters because it changes how you respond. If your dog has genuinely developed a reinforced begging habit, the solution is consistency and redirection, not punishment. Give them a place to be during meals, a mat, a designated spot, and reward them for being calm there. The behavior came from humans feeding from the table, so the humans have to stop feeding from the table. Simple, not easy. But if what you are seeing is sentinel behavior, trying to eliminate it entirely might actually increase your dog's background stress, because you would be interrupting a coping mechanism that helps them feel safe. The better move is to let it exist in a form that works for both of you. Let them be nearby. Let them do their job, and do not mistake their watchfulness for greed. What your dog is really telling you, so let us bring this all the way back to the dinner table, back to that stare. Your dog sits across from you, eyes soft but steady, body still. Not rushing you, not demanding anything, just present, watching. What they are doing in that moment is something that goes back further than your house, further than the concept of pet ownership, further than most of recorded history. They are doing what their ancestors did when the group sat down to eat. They are keeping watch. They are monitoring the trusted member of their social group for signs of alarm. They are using your calm as a map of the environment. And when you stay relaxed, when you eat your meal without rushing or tensing or shooing them away, you are completing a loop that is millions of years old. You are being the safe presence that allows them to eventually exhale. You are the signal that says the world outside the window is fine. The sounds from down the street are nothing. The group is whole. The meal is done. You are not just their owner in that moment. You are their sentinel too. And the relationship that quietly deepens through thousands of ordinary shared moments like this one. Sitting together at the table, each of you doing your small part of an ancient, wordless contract. That is what people mean when they say, dogs and humans were made for each other. It turns out they are not watching your plate at all. They are watching over you. If this reframe hit differently, the next step is not complicated. At your next meal, instead of feeling guilty about the stare or reaching for a distraction, just sit with it for a moment. Notice the quality of it. Is your dog escalating, or are they simply present? Are they watchful, or are they working you? That distinction alone will tell you something real about where your relationship stands. And if you want to keep exploring what your dog is actually communicating through everyday behaviors, stick around. The next video goes somewhere equally unexpected, and I think you are going to walk away from it seeing your dog in a completely new way. Thanks for watching. If you loved this video, scan the QR code on the screen right now to subscribe and join the Pawsome Life family. Give your dog a belly rub for us, and we will see you in the next video.